How's it going, everyone? Today we have a story time of when the bully gets owned by the new kid. So anyways, this bully is terrorizing everyone, but that all changes when the new kid comes. And the way that it goes down is absolutely crazy because yes, the cops are called and it goes down. Half the people watching this are not subscribed, so make sure you're subscribed if you're on YouTube and follow me if you're on Spotify. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So the subscriber who submitted this story, we're going to call him Will. So anyways, Will was going to a new school. And, whenever you change schools, whenever you go to a new school, it's always a hard time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always something where you need to go make a bunch of new friends. And not only do you need to make new friends, but you got to integrate into new friend groups. Well, Will kind of got ahead of that because he knew that he was going to be moving to, it was also extra hard because he was moving to a new neighborhood in December. So he was going to enter school in January. At least in the beginning of the year, it's like you're coming off of summer, you're nice and fresh. Like you're at a point where it's slightly easier, even if it's still hard if you're moving schools. But coming in January 1st, it's just unique. Yeah, so anyways, Will kind of knew that he had to get ahead of the curve on this. Will knew that this was going to be pretty difficult, so he decides to reach out to someone that he knew of from a friend of a friend. Basically, a friend of a friend was like, oh, I know someone who lives in that area and goes to that school. I'll give you his contact. So we're going to call this guy Andrew. So anyways, Andrew seemed like a pretty chill guy. They hung out once before, and once, he moved to the neighborhood in December, they hung out a lot more, and they actually clicked really well. So one night, and this was a couple days before school was starting up again in January, Andrew asked Will, hey, are you taking the bus? And Will says, yeah, like my mom can't drop me off, and it's too far for me to go. I don't really have a bike, and obviously I can't drive a car, like I'm 13. And anyways, so that's when Andrew looks at him and says, okay, man, well, I just got to give you a heads up as your boy. I got to give you a heads up about something. So at this point, Will was like, okay. He was probably thinking it was more along the lines of like, yo, like the cool kids sit in aisle 3. Make sure you're not accidentally like sitting in their seat or they'll be mad. Some like random middle school BS. All that kind of social stuff. Guys, if you're watching this and you're having trouble in the social stuff of middle school or high school, let me just tell you as someone who has graduated both of those and on his way to graduate college, which is a terrifying statement, it does not matter. If you just go forward and through, put your head down and make your way through and try and find some cool people along the way, trust me, it does get better. People become more normal. Well, depends on where you're going. If you're going to investment banking, I don't know if that's the case. But for the most part, people get more normal as you grow up. So if middle school or high school is really hard for you right now, you got this. You can trust me. It does get better. But anyways, that's what Will was thinking. But that's when Andrew drops a little bit of a curveball when he introduces the school bully, who we will be calling Ben. I know, what a shocker. Anyways, Ben's been the school bully since day one. Anyways, so Ben the bully has been the bully from day one. And Ben has this little routine now. Back in the day, he was doing in like first and second grade, he was doing some classic bully stuff, doing some wedgies, doing some this, doing some that. But he's actually has a pretty good shtick now. So this is kind of a weird transition. But the mob, yeah, I know. The mob used to have this thing, and I'm sure they still do it in some places, but where they would basically say, hey, we're offering protection. You just got to pay us a certain amount every single month. Or whatever, every single week. And you might be thinking protection against what? And they'd just be saying, oh, like if something happens, like someone smashes up your store, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. So of course the person who's running the store is like, bro, no one's ever smashed up my store. What are you even talking about? And they'll be like, okay, well, if that changes, let us know. And then of course the mob will then go smash up their store and then come back and be like, oh my God, your store got smashed up. Well, we would have protected you against that. And yeah, it's obviously just the mob just like trying to like, I don't know, manufacture something so that they can get money. Well, the bully must have watched some like movie about like the Italian mob or something. Maybe he watched The Godfather. I don't know. And he was like, what a genius idea. So basically, he rides the bus. And there's a handful of kids who ride the bus, and everyone knows the bully, and everyone knows the lore. And since he's been the bully from day one, and no one has ever stood up to him, no one really is standing up to him, which is kind of crazy, but whatever. So the bully, every single Monday, basically just demands that everyone basically pay him $5. So bully's low-key making money, and it's basically protection. He did the same thing. He's like, I'm going to protect you guys from getting bullied or anything bad happening. And the very first time, like, only a couple kids did it. Or at first he was like, hey, next Monday, I got to see $5 from each of you if you want to stay protected. So, of course, everyone's like, oh, okay. Some kids brought the $5. They're like, okay, whatever. But the kids that didn't, it was a whole thing of, like, getting rotten eggs in their locker to getting, across the board, basically just getting bullied by him. So within a couple weeks, everyone's on this basically subscription service. So bro's bringing in like $35-$40 a week for nothing. It's a pretty good scam, but it's been going on for 2 or 3 years. So at this point, like, the bully basically has like a staff, or no, he just has one other kid. We'll just call him Ben's minion. So Ben's minion, basically what he does is he's employed by the bully Ben. And instead of getting paid, basically he just gets protection for free, which, okay, whatever. I don't know how you report that to the IRS. Yeah, I got a paycheck and it's just not getting a wedgie. Do I have to pay 30% taxes on that? The IRS can be like, hey, yo, what are you even saying? Anyways, though, so he goes around and collects. So the bully just sits in the front seat. So the front seat is the bully's like it's his like little lair up there. And Ben's minion gets to sit on the other side, but can never sit with Ben because Ben needs to have his whole room. He brings his iPad on the bus. He gets the front row seat, gets all that kind of stuff. So Will's explaining this, or Andrew's explaining this to Will. Will's like, dude, I'm not going to do that. And Andrew's like, bro, you're probably going to want to do it. Like, I want you to have a smooth time. Transitioning in is already going to be kind of hard. So Andrew doesn't ride the bus, but he's spoken to enough people that he just kind of knows that's what happens. So Will's like, okay, bro, like, I appreciate you letting me know, but I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. So Andrew's like, okay, well, I still kind of suggest you do, but I'm obviously, it's up to you. I'm not going to control what you do. And yeah, I just want to give you a heads up. Anyway, so time goes by, and it's finally for the first day of school. Will's getting ready. He's kind of totally forgot about the whole bus thing, or the whole bully Ben thing on the bus, gets the stuff ready. He's really just focused on, let me find some friends, let me do some introductions. Like, I got to work a little bit harder. I'm coming in January randomly, so it's not like in the very beginning when everyone's new there, everyone's looking for friends. It's not that it's necessarily easy, but it is easier. No question about that. Like, it is simply easier to do that than coming in just like when everyone already has your preset friend groups. Everyone's already kind of in that position, so no one's really, it's not that they're not looking for new friends, but they're not actively looking for new friends. They're all comfortable. So Will always like, all right, I got to go out of my way. I got to go hard on this, whatever. Yeah, anyways, so sure enough, Will gets on the bus, sits down, is on his phone a little bit, kind of just a little worried. And that's when he totally remembers, because he sees some kid walking down the aisle, going to each person and stopping for a second. Oh, almost like communion in church. He almost has one of those little communion plates, like picking up all the money or whatever. And that's when Will like remembers. He's like, oh, okay. So anyways, Ben's minion comes down and looks at Will and just kind of looks at him, and Will just looks at him. It's kind of an awkward like moment, and Will's and Ben's minion's like, do you have the $5? And Will's like, what? Ben's minion's like, oh, I don't really recognize you. Are you new in the bus? He's like, I'm new here. And Ben's minion kind of looks at him, looks behind him, looks at him, and then walks past him. So first Will's like, okay, bet, that's good for me because of this, like maybe I just got out of it because I'm new. But anyways, after Ben's minion eventually goes back to the front, sits next to Ben, gives him the money, but then is saying something to him because Will's looking. And that's when Ben himself gets up and walks down the aisle. So anyways, this kid Ben walks down and looks at Will. And eventually comes in and he's like, hey, what's up, bro? Like, I heard you're new around here. Welcome to the school. Acting all nice, acting all whatever. He's like, bro, I just wanted to let you know, like, on the bus, like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen, as well, a lot of crazy stuff that can happen at school. So basically, I have this little service where if you pay me $5 every single Monday, you know, I'll give you protection from all of that. So Will already saw this coming, and he looks at him very politely and says, hey, man, I appreciate that. I think I'm going to pass. And Ben's like, dude, like, it's a really good idea for you not to do that. Like, I really think you should, you know, pay into the service. And Will's like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And Ben's like, look, I'll even give you, if you come tomorrow with the money, I'll give you I'll give you today for free as like a little trial. And Will's like, no, I think I'm good. And Ben's like, bro, trust me, you don't want to not pay in the service. And he's like, okay, well, you know, respectfully, I'm going to decline. I don't think I'm going to do it. And Ben's like, okay, bro, up to you. So at this point, other people on the bus were starting to look at Will because he was sitting there denying the bully who has reigned over the school for like the last 10 years and has run this bus racket for the last, 3 or 4 at this point. So it's starting to draw a little bit of attention. And then Ben, the bully's like, you know what, man? I'm going to give you one last opportunity. You know, if you come on this bus tomorrow and give me the money, give me the $5, then I'm going to pretend like this disobedience and this slander never even happened. Low-key kind of a crazy thing to say that, you know, Will is slandering him by declining his protection racket service. Like, dude, on what planet is that slandering? Like, that's low-key crazy, bro. Anyways, so sure enough, right, Will's kind of just like, all right, cool. You could do that. I'll keep chilling here. And I'm just going to ride my bus into school. So anyways, Ben ends up sitting back down. Will's like a little uncomfortable because he hears people looking at him, staring at him. Like, Will didn't want to draw all this like attention to him on the first day. If you're the new kid in class, like the last thing you want is to be the center of attention, unless it's like you saved a puppy and a baby from a burning building or something, then like you just don't want to be the center of attention. You want to be visible, right? You want to be visible enough so that you can meet new people. You don't necessarily want to be in front of everyone, especially for something like this. Anyways, though, so actually the first day, Will went up, he saw Andrew, said what's up, hung out with some of Andrew's friends, but also some people were coming up to him being like, yo, dude, I heard you're the guy who stood up to Ben. Like, shout out you, bro. Like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So Will was feeling pretty good. He actually got a decent amount of positive attention. But anyways, the thing was, like, they were kind of just waiting on, like, what was Ben actually going to do? And while Will was, he was, happily taking in all the good attention, at the same time, part of him was like, well, what is this guy going to do? Like, I mean, he really can't run this racket because look, if Will's like, I'm not going to do it, and then nothing happens to him, why would you buy protection against something that doesn't happen? That's like buying alien insurance or like buying something like that. Like, oh, well, don't worry, man. I spend $1,000 a year on alien insurance. So if aliens come and destroy the planet, I'll be okay. Well, first of all, if aliens destroy the planet, they're probably going to destroy the insurance provider too. But also, bro, that's never going to happen. That there's no point. Like, you buy insurance because you want to make sure that you hedge yourself and protect yourself against risks that are unlikely to happen, but unlikely and not going to happen are not the same thing, dude. Or I guess with an alien invasion, it's not impossible, but it is nearly zero. So there's a difference between 1% and 0.0001%, right? Huge difference there. Anyways, so sure enough, right, the next day rolls around and Will's trying to figure out, okay, what is this kid going to play? What's going to be his move? Like, how is he going to try and mess with me? Like, I got to be prepared because I don't know if this kid's going to do. What is he going to pull out of his butt? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could really be almost anything at this point. So trying to figure it out. He's really just kind of prepared as he walks on the bus. But here's what happens. Ben doesn't do anything. I think Ben, because he's like been out of the being a bully game for so long, Loki doesn't even have the balls to do anything anymore. But here's the problem. So everyone on the bus noticed that nothing was happening to him, right? Everyone on the bus started to notice that, Ben was able to get away with doing nothing, not paying anything, and having no consequences. So yeah, a couple days go by. It seems super chill, and nothing happens to Will. And that's when the next Monday kind of rolls around. And Will gets on the bus like usual, doesn't pay the $5, but is watching as Ben's minion walks up and down the aisles, tries to start collecting like money from people. And yeah, like some people still pay, but the Will, the subscriber, says about 50% of the people are no longer paying. They said, I'm not paying that anymore. And here's the thing, if that's a trend, that trend's only going to continue, right? Because now it's not just like, oh, well, Will got away with it. It's everyone who doesn't pay got away with it. So why am I going to stay being a sucker who's paying? Yeah, so at this point, Ben the bully kind of realized that this was about to be a disaster. So there's a couple routes that Ben the bully could have gone down. The first one could have just like let the money slowly run out. Like, here's the thing, it probably wouldn't have been that everyone would have like stopped paying him the $5. Like, I bet that there still would have been a couple kids that would have been like too scared to not pay him, and would have paid him for a little bit longer, but then eventually would have trailed down to zero. So Ben could have looked back and been like, you know what, man, I made probably nearly $1,000 over the last couple of years of doing this for basically doing nothing. Let me collect maybe another $50 or so until it runs out. I had a good run, but maybe I should be a legitimate business owner, pursuing real projects, maybe my passions, helping the community. Maybe I should do that going forward. Okay, that's one plan. And I think you guys can already tell by a little bit of the sarcasm in my voice, he did not choose that option. Option number 2 is he can actually start in being a bully again, right? Because the whole thing was basically insurance against him. But he hasn't done anything against anyone in years. And at this point, Ben isn't really like, he puts on a show, but it used to be that Ben was just such a big kid when he was younger that just his like physical appearance alone. But then everyone else kind of had a growth spurt, and low-key Ben isn't that big anymore. So it doesn't really, he doesn't really have that confidence. Plus, he's been out of the game for so long. It's like when you haven't done something for so many years, even if you were an expert before, you're going to be really shaky. You're going to be worried to go back to your passion or your game, which I guess for Ben is being a bully. But, you've been out of the game for so long, dude. Like, you might suck. And the thing is, if you show that you're that you can't even do what you claim to do, then you lose all your power. Because you still have this mystique. You still have this aura, right? That you're just, that you're still that guy. Third option is you hire a psycho emo kid enforcer. Yeah, that sentence might have just sound like that I had, my brain is malfunctioning. No, you heard me correctly. Hire a psycho emo kid to enforce the rule of law and collect the money again. Yeah, so let's just say Ben went with option 3 because he's insane, dude. Before I go into the insane adventures of the emo kid going in and trying to enforce, it ends up in the police getting called. It's that messed up. I just want to say, if you're on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed. And if you made it this far into the video, comment BUS down below. So BUS, comment BUS. That'll be the secret word of the day, so I can see the names and faces of all the people who made it this far into the video, as I really do appreciate the people who watched this far. And also I want to say that to remind you, if you are on YouTube and you aren't listening on Spotify, and use Spotify, that I post these on Spotify every single day. I'm very active on there. And also, if you're a Spotify listener, make sure you followed and make sure you rated the podcast 5 stars. Because if we get into the US top 50 podcasts chart, so there's like a top 50 charts, I will tell the most embarrassing true story about me, not just your stories, my own embarrassing story to all of you as a thank you. But I got to get top 50 charts anytime this year. So we got a lot of time to do this. And if you want to help me grind to get to that point, honestly, just start listening. If you've already followed the podcast and rated it 5 stars, the best thing you can do is just keep listening to my videos. Maybe if you want to put them on as you're going to sleep, if you want to put them on while you're doing something else, grind them out, make playlists for me, whatever you want to do. And I promise you, you will get the most embarrassing, cringe story of all time that still haunts me to this very day. And finally, if you want to submit your own stories to me, go to Instagram, look up Connor Pugs. I have like 1.2 million on there because I make short videos that do really, really well. And follow me and then message me your story. And finally, if you want to see a little bit more of my day-to-day, because I do a lot more than just story times on YouTube, add me on Snap, Connor Pugs. I got the gold star. I got 110,000 on there, so you'll know who I am. But anyways, let's get back to it, because this is about to be so crazy, dude. This is about to be so crazy. Anyways, so this is a random Tuesday, and this is after the second Monday where he usually collects money, another absolute failure. Last Monday, 50% of the people no longer paid into his scheme, but now it's up to 75%. Only 25% of the bus is still paying in when it used to be 100% 2 weeks ago. Well, I guess like 97% because, Will was the first one not to pay. But you know what I'm saying? It's looking bad. Only 25% left. So this Tuesday is the day after that where Ben realized he needed to do something, and he needed to do something big. So anyways, they're hopping on the bus. Will gets up there. He's feeling good. He doesn't even think about Ben anymore. If anything, he thinks of only on Mondays when Ben's little minion goes around to collect, right? To go on his collection or whatever. And he only thinks about Ben then because he likes seeing how many people are no longer paying, right? He kind of feels responsible for destroying Ben the Bully's false insurance scam, or I guess kind of insurance scam empire, which he feels pretty good about. But today was a little bit different. So he gets on the bus, and remember, the first row is actually still, that's still Ben's seat. Like, no one has tried to reclaim that as his. And usually, remember, in one seat, there's Ben, and on the other side, there's his minion. But this time, there's a third kid. So this kid, we're going to call him the emo kid. So he has long, and there's nothing wrong. Okay, there's nothing wrong with the emo aesthetic. It's totally fine if that's how you like to dress, how you like to be. That's totally cool. If you do what the emo kid here does and is insane cringe lord and gets arrested, well, not to spoil anything, but yeah, that's where I draw the line. Anyways, so this kid has long black dyed hair. So it's not like natural black, like obviously dyed black. He has the whole emo kid face paint, whatever. He's got he's black eyeshadow, white, whatever. He has a spiky collar on. He has this metal band t-shirt like that. He probably doesn't even know their most popular song. You know those people, and it's nothing really wrong with it. I don't really care if you wear a t-shirt from a band you don't really like. If you just like the aesthetic, bro, honestly, you can wear whatever you want, bro. I really personally don't care. But, there's just people that will always wear these band t-shirts, and then someone will be like, yo, name 2 songs. And they're like, the most popular song, and then, I don't know, bro, I'll have to look it up. That's fine with me, but I can also understand where people be like, dude, you're repping this band, you don't even know one thing about them. That's kind of cringe. Anyways, he was definitely wearing a band t-shirt that he didn't even know the most popular song of, has these big spiky black boots, and he's sitting there, and he's also 4 or 5, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being short. I'm just giving you the full perspective of what he looks like. And he might be potentially 4'5" wide as well. So he's very spherical, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just giving you the full perspective of what he looks like. So anyways, usually, Will wouldn't be like, oh, there's a new kid on the bus, because there's so many kids that he didn't know. This kid could have been on the bus for years, and Will just never noticed him, even though he was very noticeable, to say the least. But what was interesting was he was sitting in the bully's private suite, right? He was sitting in the front row, which Will at least knew that Ben still had kind of control over that. So anyways, he's like, okay, maybe this kid just sat there, new on the bus, didn't know any better, and Ben is just so washed up that he didn't even try and do anything, and Ben's empire is simply just collapsing more. That was not the case. So sure enough, Will sits down, and this time, instead of Ben's little minion going around collecting, the emo kid steps to the front of the bus. And I think the bus driver must have been in his own world or something, or just not even there yet. Because the emo kid is attention, bus dwellers. My name is Braden. I'm just going to call him the emo kid, but my name is Braden. And let's just say that you don't want to get on my dark side, because I know all of dark psychology. Yes, let's just say that the last person who crossed me is no longer here anymore. Like, literally the biggest cringe fest you've ever seen, bro. Like, at this point, this is like the cringiest thing you've ever seen. But sure enough, and this just shows you how low Ben went. He's like, I will be enforcing the protection because you want protection. Not just from Ben, who's like awkwardly sitting there, because Ben's starting to realize that this was such a Hail Mary. Like, this was such a, like, we're just trying anything at this point to get points on the board just to try and make this work. But Ben's starting to realize that this was probably a fail. Anyways, the emo kid's like, not only do you need to worry about Ben, but you now need to worry about me. And he like goes in like a stance. It's like, it just like literally the cringiest thing you've ever seen. He's like, and for that, protection will now cost you $10 a week. And let's just say that you don't want to get on either of our bad sides. Because when we team up, we are basically like, two really scary guys you don't want to cross. Like, bro is like literally fumbling over his words, but also like maniacally laughing and just honestly the biggest cringe you've ever seen. So the emo kid then says, tomorrow you must come with $10 each, or you will be on my bad side. Boyden out. And then he sits back down. So at this point, half the bus is confused. The other half of the bus is like trying not to laugh. And Ben is just like really awkwardly sitting there. I think at this point is like, oh my God, bro. Like, I think I made a bad move doing this. Anyways, stuff starts to get real, bro. Stuff starts to get real the next day around. Anyways, so the next day, no one brings $10. Because at this point, it was almost a bad move, because even if 25% of the kids were still paying $5 a week, like, bro, that might be, I don't know, 8 to 10 kids. And if it's 10 kids, that's an extra $50 a week. Like, that's actually still really good. But at this point, no one brought any money. First of all, he's asking for double, $10 a week. And then also, it's like, this has like so clearly become a clown show that everyone's just not doing it. But this is where things get weird. So anyways, Will hops on the bus the next day. And at this point, the emo kid is standing at the front. And whenever someone walks through, he's like, do you have the money? And they're all like, no. And he's like, you're on the bad list. Do you have the money? Okay, adding you to my bad list. Do you have the money? No? Well, you're on my bad list too. Anyway, so everyone gets on the bus. And that's when the kid is like, stands up again. The emo kid stands up at the front of the bus. He's like, you guys have all made a terrible mistake. You have crossed me, Boyden, and Ben. Ben is just like curled up in a corner, like cringing his mind off, like, oh my God, I failed. Like, it's over. I'm now not only just like the bully, but I'm now the reject of the school, dude. Oh my God. But anyways, he's like, let's just say that me and my little friend are going to, let's say, convince you otherwise. So Braden, the emo kid, goes into his backpack and pulls out a kitchen knife. So he pulls out the kitchen knife. He's like, this is my emo saber. Bro, that's a kitchen knife. That's no emo saber. What are you even saying right now? But yeah, this is like a deadly weapon, bro. So at this point, like, everyone on the bus is like, what the fuck? What? And at this point, Ben, like, is starting to freak out a little bit. He's like, dude, I did, like, this was not part of the plan. What are you? Because Ben like starts saying to the emo kid, like, bro, what are you doing? And Braden, the emo kid's like, silence, I got this. He's like, so I think you guys are going to be winging the $10 tomorrow. I'll grant you an extra day because I'm nice. I'm a nice evil lord. The nicer, but still very evil. And he like holds up his knife. He's like, or me and my little emo saber over here will have a word with you. Yeah, so this might not be a crazy thing to say, but you can't bring a kitchen knife onto the bus, threaten people, try to extort money out of them by saying, I won't basically murder you with a kitchen knife as long as you give me $10 a week and get away with it. So there was a ton of chatter on the bus. The emo kid sits down because he kind of thinks like, checkmate, I won today, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm the big winner here. Ben is like not even trying to associate with him. Like, the emo kid keeps like leaning over and be like, yo, dude, like, we totally won today. And he's just like, Ben's just trying to ignore him 100%. So here's what must have happened. One of the kids, probably more in the back of the bus, was like, ah, hell nah, this is insane. Like, I'm going to literally call the cops. So some kid in the back must have called 911, told them exactly what happened, be like, yo, there's a kid on our bus. He brought a kitchen knife. He's trying to say that we have to pay him $10 a week, and he threatened us with his kitchen knife. And that's insane, of course. And he basically said, yeah, I don't think we're in any immediate danger. But we have like a 15-minute drive. We go to blah, blah, blah school, whatever. So anyways, at this point, Will's kind of freaking out. He's sitting there, like he's sitting with someone. So he's turning them being like, dude, this is actually crazy. Like this is way, 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 way too far. And Will feels a little bit like he's not responsible because how could he have possibly imagined this would have been the outcome? Because this is insane. But at the same time, if he didn't do anything, the bully would have never brought this kid on. So sure enough, the emo kid, Braden, was like, man, like I am, like they're cowering in fear because I'm so mysterious and alpha, which they're just afraid because you have a freaking kitchen knife, bro. Like you're a psycho. Anyway, so they pull into school, and as they're pulling into school, there are 13 cop cars. Like it is a full-blown unit. It is insane. So at this point, Will's looking at him, he's like, oh my God. And the emo kid goes immediately silent because he's been chirping everyone. He's been like flexing. He's been like basically basking in his glory because he didn't think that, he was going to get in trouble for this, which is insane. Anyways, so immediately, like 14 police officers raid onto the bus. They, I don't know, like I think that they were given a description of the emo kid, and he was pretty obvious. They get the emo kid, they grab his backpack, they bring him off the bus. And so people are slowly told to go off the bus. The police are like patting them down, checking their bags. And they start like interviewing people, basically saying like what happened. The kid who called 911 is like interviewed. And the emo kid's like detained over in the corner. And so, eventually the police get the full story of what exactly happened. Ben, the bully's basically in tears because he's like, oh my God, I'm getting in so much trouble. Why would I be such an idiot and do this? Not that I knew that this was going to happen. And so essentially what happened there is that the emo kid was like taken away, and Ben is yet to see, Will is yet to see the emo kid again. Ben got in crazy trouble. Will didn't have inside scoop into the interrogation. Will didn't have inside scoop into every meeting that Ben and Ben's parents and all that stuff had with the school. But through the grapevine, essentially what he heard was that Ben was able to be like, yeah, I brought this kid on because like I wanted, like I had this, like I was basically would protect people. Ben admitted to almost everything, but he was very, very clear that he's like, I just wanted this kid to like do it for me. I had no idea of anything that he was doing. And they actually did believe Ben, which is a little crazy, even though I kind of believe Ben too, but still in the situation, I don't know. But Ben still got Ben got crazy suspended on extremely thin ice. If he ever even says a bad word in school, he is getting expelled and kicked very far away. But from that point on, Ben, the emo kid, they were never on the bus again. And the emo kid's little minion, I don't think got in trouble, but he just stopped riding the bus because he's like, I just can't be associated anymore. And from that point on, the bus ride was totally fine. Ben was never a problem again. And to this day, Will is not seen or heard from the emo kid ever again.